everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into an important topic in English poetry, Wordsworth's theory of poetic diction. But before we start, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and do not forget to like and share the video. Also leave a comment if you have any suggestions for topics you want me to take up next. Let's start with the background now. Let's start with the background. In the 18th century, before Wordsworth, most English poetry followed strict rules. The language was fancy, artificial, and full of complicated words and classical references. Poets wanted their verses to sound elevated and noble, right? But Wordsworth, he was somebody who just looked at all of that and said, no, thank you. In his famous Preface to the Lyrical Ballads, written in 1800, Wordsworth completely changed the game. He said that poetry should be written in the language of common people. Remember this, very, very important. And this is what he called the language really used by men. But why? Because he believed that poetry should express genuine emotions, things people actually feel in real life. And how do real people talk? Naturally, simply, honestly. He especially admired the language of rural people, villagers and farmers, because they live close to nature and their lives are not full of fake formalities. This is what Wordsworth believed. So their words, as in the words of the rural people, their way of speaking, according to Wordsworth, they are full of real emotion. Now here's the important part. Wordsworth said, the subject of poetry can be simple, the language should be simple, but the feelings must be powerful. Remember that. He's saying that subject, that can be simple, language, that can also be simple, but the feelings, they have to be powerful. He also gave us one of the most famous definitions of poetry. Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. It takes its origin from emotion recollected in tranquility. Remember these two phrases. Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful emotions and emotions recollected in tranquility. These are highly important. I cannot even begin to emphasize how important these are. Something even for your university exams or be it for any competitive examinations, highly, highly important words, something that you should, just lock in your brain forever. Now, what does these lines actually mean? It means the poet feels something deeply. But instead of writing in the heat of the moment, the poet waits. What did it say? Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings, right? There's a spontaneous overflow of these feelings, but then these emotions, they are recollected in tranquility, okay? That poet feels something deeply, but then instead of writing it just in that particular moment that, I have just an idea right now, so I'm going to write it just right now. Not like that. He's saying that instead of writing in the heat of the moment, the poet waits. He thinks, he reflects, and then in a calm state, he shapes those emotions into poetry. Alright? So again, to sum this up, Wordsworth rejected the artificial decorative language of traditional poetry. He said poetry should be written in the language of everyday people. He focused on emotion, nature, and simplicity, and he made poetry more accessible. Something you did not need a dictionary to understand. That's why Wordsworth is often called the father of English Romanticism. He gave poetry back to the people and brought it down from the fancy halls to the simple countryside. So the next time you read The Solitary Reaper or lines composed a few miles above Tinton Abbey, notice how calm and simple the language is. That's poetic diction, Wordsworth style. Alright, that's it for today's 5-minute literature bite. If you enjoyed this, leave a comment saying more romanticism please, and hit that subscribe button so that you do not miss the next one. Thank you for watching and keep learning.